Welcome to the best gambling show on the internet. This is the home of the money pick. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. NFL Vegas spread picks week 4. They're coming up, and there's no need for a long intro. I'm ready to get into the games. I'm ready to get into the bets, and I have a lot to say this week, and I am going to be digging some trenches, so bear with me. We're going to get through it. Let's get this money. First game, Thursday Night Football. We got the Seattle Seahawks at the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals +1. I got the Cardinals to win in the cover. Firstly, about the Seahawks. Credit to them. What they did last week against the Saints was impressive. I don't think it was the easiest touch in the world like they made it look, but they absolutely dominated and completely controlled that game against the Saints. And you have to tip the cap to them, and you have to give Sam Darnold and that team credit. I actually really like the Seattle defense, but I'm not ready to crown them NFC West champs yet. I'm not ready to overreact and say Sam Darnold's going to have another good year like he had with the Vikings. The reason why I'm going the Cardinals is because I think the Cardinals are a better overall team. And I'm going to do a full video on this game, but I'm going to tell you why I cannot bet it. And there's tons of reasons, but I'll give you the first one. I am really, really tired of some of the situational football in this league. I get it. It's early in the year. There's going to be variance, and we're going to see some crazy stuff happen. That's why we love the NFL. That's why we dig in, and these games are never over. And a lot of times, these games are decided by 3, 4, or 5 plays. But in the Cardinals' case, it just hasn't been the case. They've dominated large swaths of every single game they've played, and they can't do simple things like, for instance, 2-minute defense, or we can say prevent defense. They certainly had a lot of practice against the Panthers. They had 6-7 drives of prevent defense, and then you get into the situation against the 49ers, and you let Mac Jones carve you up like a turkey. And that's where I'm just asking some questions. I'm also asking some questions about this Arizona offense. And I know you're going to say, Lawson, I don't like Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's the problem. He looks like a middle schooler. He's too small. Well, all of that might be true. I got to be honest, man. I don't think he's the biggest issue. He could be the biggest issue now that James Conner's out, but the Cardinals haven't ran the ball great this year. But I think a big issue with this Cardinals team is people like Marvin Harrison Jr. If he didn't have that last name, would he be getting this treatment? He was absolutely horrid against the San Francisco 49ers. And I don't mean to come to defense of Kyler Murray, but there was one throw where Kyler Murray threw it 40 yards in the air. Marvin Harrison is wide open like a pop fly, and he drops it. And then there's also was another one where he's in the end zone. Kyler Murray throws a perfect pass, and he drops it. And if I was Kyler Murray, I don't know if I could throw to Marvin Harrison Jr. anymore. I'm just being honest. So I don't want to overreact. I think Kyler does more than Sam Darnold this game. And I think the Cardinals play well at home, but full video on it. Cardinals winning the cover. But you just can't bet it when you got guys like Marvin Harrison Jr. It's okay if Gabe Davis looks bad. We don't expect anything from people like Gabe Davis, no matter how much they get paid by the Jags. Remember that contract? But Marvin Harrison Jr. has been an absolute disaster, and I just need to say that. Cardinals winning the cover. I have no science. Next game, we're going to Dublin. We're going to have some viewers there, by the way. We got the Minnesota Vikings at the Pittsburgh Steelers versus in Dublin, obviously. Vikings -2.5. Money, money, money! Money! Give me the Vikings to win in the cover. And this is pretty emphatic. About as emphatic as you can be betting a Carson Wentz-led team. And listen, we didn't get to see a lot out of Carson Wentz. The Minnesota Vikings defense took care of everything, and I think that's going to be a similar story in this matchup. Now, when you bet these games in England, in Brazil, in Dublin, like we're going to in Ireland, you worry about the field conditions, you just worry about the travel patterns, you worry about all of it, and you simply should. But one thing I worry about is what happens when Aaron Rodgers gets hit. And yes, he's shown more mobility this year than he did with the Jets. But I do think there's limits to it. And the Steelers' offense looks disconjointed. And I just don't think they're going to be able to find rhythm against the Vikings defense that, for me, man, it's just, it comes at you too fast. And I don't know if the Steelers have the targets. Like, who's going to help DK? Calvin Austin has started to emerge, but I'm not sure the Steelers bring the run game. Against the Brian Flores defense, you need to run it. You need to keep them balanced. And the last thing I'll say, we obviously know the Vikings have a way better roster. So I'm not trying to make this into a Wentz versus Rodgers type matchup. But listen, man, like the Steelers kind of got bodied against the Patriots, and the game flow was completely against them, and credit to the defense in forcing turnovers. But the same problems persist. Every single time someone runs a 15-yard in, a slant across the middle, there's just no one there. And you have a great cover linebacker in Patrick Queen. Like, I know Joey Porter might come back this week, but I still think the Steelers secondary is extremely vulnerable. And Wentz did have a pretty good 45, 50 minutes out there in the practice sesh. So give me the Vikings to win in the cover, make it a money pick, about as emphatic as you can be about a Carson Wentz-led squad in 2025. Next game, we got the Philadelphia Eagles at the Tampa Bay Bucs. Eagles minus 3.5. I got the Eagles to win, Bucs to cover. You wanna really put some money and you want to put some emphasis behind the Bucs in this game, right? Because we saw what the Eagles had to offer against the Rams at home in Philly, and it wasn't a lot. I mean, you can talk about the blocked field goals, you can talk about the comeback, but that's kind of the performances we saw at times out of Philly last year, where they were out of rhythm and at times out of ideas. But here's the reason why I got the Eagles to win the game and why I don't think I can make the Bucs a money pick right now. This Bucs offensive line is just absolutely walking wounded. Like, Mausch isn't coming back. We think we might get Wirfs at left tackle in this game. Against the Eagles, you need to be good on the offensive line, and we saw a big part of the Rams' success against the Eagles' defense was they had run-pass balance. And if the Bucs can't run the ball, if they can't pass protect, the Eagles will just completely control the rhythm of the game. With that being said, I think Baker does enough to cover. Eagles win the game. Next game, we got the New Orleans Saints at the Buffalo Bills. Saints plus 16.5. When I think of like 16.5, 17.5, I always think of when my Vikings were favored 17.5 against Josh Allen in his rookie year, and Josh Allen beat him. I also think of when Carson Wentz and Frank Reich needed to beat the Jags, and they were favored 17 or 18.5, and they lost the game. Don't get excited. That's not going to happen here. Bills winning the cover. Next game, we got the Carolina Panthers. Bryce at the New England Patriots. Panthers plus 5.5. Money, money, money. Borderline. This is as borderline as they get. I mean, this is borderline. Give me the Panthers to cover, Patriots to win. And it's tough doing this with the Panthers on the road. And firstly, I want to just come on here and talk straight to you. This has nothing to do with what the Panthers did against the Falcons. But I did say before that game, and I did say on the live call-in show Friday, let's just wait and see Bryce Young and this Panthers offense in a game flow where they're not down 14-0 4 or 5 minutes in. And we saw this Panthers team fight, create enough offensively, but also this Panthers defense was stout, and that was the most surprising thing. Now, am I as high on Atlanta as the public? No, I'm not, but we'll get to that later. But this is more a fate of the Patriots, to be honest. And yes, they got the better of the Steelers. That money pick I had on last week's video was in danger. It was. But I love Rabel. I love May. And I felt like I've said this 25 fucking times so far this year. I love both of them. I absolutely love both of them. But this is a bottom 5 roster still. And we have to be honest about it, and we have to be realistic about it. And it shows week in and week out, specifically at the wide receiving position, specifically at the offensive line. Now, I know this Panthers defensive line, they don't have the dogs to really push the limit of that Pats offensive line. But I do think this Pats defense is vulnerable, and I think this Panthers offense can exploit it. And at the very least, they have an elite wide receiver for Bryce. What is Drake getting? He's getting chopped liver, man. Give me the Panthers to cover, Patriots to win. Next game, we got the Washington no-names at the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons plus 1.5. No science here. Falcons winning the cover. But I was saying the last 2 weeks, I've been telling you one thing about the Falcons that I don't like. I don't like Zach Robinson, the offensive coordinator. And I haven't liked his game plans dating back to last year, the reliance on the pistol, bad play calls on 3rd and short, just really basic stuff. And I'm just not sure Jaden Daniels is going to start. And I'm all for Marcus the Magic Man Mariota coming back to Atlanta and getting a little bit of sweet revenge against the Falcons team that you don't know what outfit, you don't know what they're going to bring to the table. But I'm going Falcons winning a cover here. I'm just nervous about this spot for the Commanders. And I have absolutely no science. And I absolutely hate this Falcons offense. At least Raheem Morris has made this defense look more presentable and professional at times. But you just don't know what you're going to get from this Falcons offense. Please don't touch this game either way. I know everyone wants to pound the Commanders. I'll let you guys do that. I'll stay in the back. Falcons winning the cover, no science. Next game, we got the Cleveland Browns at the Detroit Lions. Dan Campbell, he shut me up Monday night. Lions minus 8.5. Money, money, money. Money. Lions winning the cover, making a money pick. Credit to what the Browns did. And I wasn't shocked that the Browns defense had a great game. I really wasn't. It's just one thing where I'm saying, like, don't overreact to stimuli and don't overreact to the first 3 weeks of the NFL season. And I think that Packers offensive performance tells you everything you need to know. And when I look at this Browns defense, they need a dance partner. This is complementary football. You need help. And I just don't think they're going to have help from this Cleveland Browns offense. And one thing that impressed me last night about the Detroit Lions was just their defensive line and the ferocity and the nastiness. And one thing you know you're going to get when you lay points with the Lions is you're going to get Dan Campbell pushing the jugular. You're going to get him going for 6 instead of kicking field goals. And I wish for everyone on Patreon, Sean McVay didn't kick 6 field goals. That's why Dan Campbell's where he's at. And that's why the Rams are sitting in the cut corner this weekend. Give me the Lions minus 8.5. Make it a damn money pick. And I guess I'm sitting in that shed too, because that was bad a beat as you're going to get. Next game, we got the Tennessee Titans at the Houston Texans. Titans +7. This is trench warfare. I mean, this is me just in Ukraine, just trying to stay alive and trying to dodge the drones, trying to dodge the 2 blocked field goals or the teaser where the Packers field goal got blocked. Like, we're just trying to dodge shrapnel and survive. Texans winning the cover. I had the Jags last week, but, man, there was no science. Everyone thought the Texans would win the game. Like, it was a toss-up. It was a toss-up. But this Titans team's bad, and this Titans team's poorly coached. And I feel bad for Cam Ward because I think you could ask diehard NFL football fans, who's the head coach of the Titans? And no one would, I guarantee you maybe 30% of fans would know it. But I was saying dating back to last year, Jerod Mayo and Antonio Pierce, they have their faults. They're far from perfect. But they took so much beating last year, and Brian Callahan just slid under the radar. Now he's giving up play calling duties to the quarterback coach, and that's when things are getting bad. And you got Cam Ward here. He's battling, and this Titans offensive line, they're holding up in pass protection way better than I thought, but it doesn't matter because the play design is trash. The wide receivers are trash, and also this defense, their secondary is just not staying close to anyone, and I'm not really sure what L'Jarius Sneed is doing anymore. And when you talk about the Houston Texans, everyone wants to talk about Stroud. I want to talk about this defense. This is the best defense in the NFL. I think Stingley will miss the game, but that's not the biggest miss in the world when Calvin Ridley's the best opposing receiver. I just think the Texans win this game, back up against the wall. You put the animal up against the wall. He's coming out scratching and fighting, and I think this defense wins the damn game. But also, the reason why you can't bet this 7 points is because, one, the NFL's been crazy. And secondly, it's not even about Stroud to me. A lot of it's about play design. A lot of it's about the offensive line. It's not about them getting beat one-on-one. Every single drive, there's at least one free blitzer in on Stroud. And it comes out of nowhere when they have 5 in protection and the team rushes 4. You send a zone blitz, and the offensive line and running back just aren't even close to picking it up. Archuleta almost had a meltdown on the broadcast on Sunday, and he's with me on that. But Texans winning the cover, back up against the wall situation. Next game, we got the Los Angeles Chargers at the New York Giants. Giants +6.5. Giants cover, Chargers win, Jackson Dart, welcome. But firstly, you guys are going to start seeing a lot of stories about Brian Daboll, about the Giants, the inner workings. Those anonymous source stories. That's why you don't sign Russell Wilson, and that's why you don't bring that guy in your locker room. He's a really, really terrible person, and he's a passive-aggressive person. But I got the Giants to cover, Chargers to win west to east, no science. This Giants secondary can't cover anyone, and Herbert's slanging it. Even Quentin Jackson's playing well, and I can't explain that, and some things you can't explain. Give me the Giants to cover, Chargers to win. I have no science, man. Next game, we got the Jags +3 at the San Francisco 49ers. Jags cover, 49ers win. It looks like we're going to get Purdy, right? And the 49ers need Purdy, but if Purdy's not back, you have to go Jags, and you have to bet it. We just don't have enough information, and as someone who, I had the 49ers on Patreon week 1, and I was excited about the 49ers going into this year. If you're a 49ers fan, you got to be just walking on eggshells every time you enter the internet. I mean, you don't know who's getting hurt next. And I just don't know if I can pick this game, and I don't even know if I've digested the Bosa injury. And it's just the last thing about the Jags. Like, yeah, the offense was slop against the Texans, but I'm actually liking the way their defense is coming along and their front four. And I'm just liking them showing a little bit of grit. I got to give credit to Liam Cohen for that. Give me the Jags to cover, 49ers to win. I have no science, man. Next game, we got the Indianapolis Colts at the Los Angeles Rams. Rams -3. Rams winning the cover. And I get it if you want to bet the Colts. I completely get it. And with this hook, it's probably the smart thing to do. Mathematically, data-wise, and maybe even in this coaching matchup after what we saw from Sean McVay on Sunday. It wasn't even about the 2 block kicks. It was just about him getting conservative and clamping up for no reason. It was insane. And you look at the Colts team, and I talk about game flow a lot. I mean, what's better than game flow? First play of the game for the Titans, Kenny Moore brings back a pick 6, and you play in the lead, and you're able to run it, and you're able to design stuff specifically on play action for Daniel Jones. And one thing we know about Shane Steichen, which I'm a Shane Steichen enjoyer, the man has a great offensive mind, and he makes quarterbacks feel comfortable. But I just think this Rams team is better, and I want to see this Colts offensive line against the Rams defensive line. I know I said that against the Denver Broncos, and the Colts offensive line probably got the better of that matchup, specifically in the run game. But this Rams defensive line is a complete different entity and challenge that's coming to them. And I do think this Colts run stops. Actually, borderline money pick Rams. I don't like doing it. I don't. And I can't walk through all the reasons now because I'm sure people are still hot and steaming over that Rams Patreon bet. But I honestly, man, I'm stoic at this point. I've been doing this since I'm 13 years old. I'm stoic. Rams winning the cover. Next game, we got the Chicago Bears, at the Las Vegas Raiders. Bears +1. Bears winning the cover. I don't know if I can put my money on the Bears. And I don't know what the Raiders are. I really don't. Because if this Raiders defensive line doesn't control the game, you just wonder, like, what do the Raiders do well? I mean, we heard a lot of talk about how they're going to run the ball, and they got a big bully offensive line. Well, they can't really run the ball. We heard a lot about how they're going to utilize play action and get Geno comfortable and get the ball in space to Bowers and Jacoby. Haven't seen a lot of it. We saw it week 1 against the Patriots. And I go back to if this Raiders defensive line doesn't dominate the game, you have a Raiders secondary that just isn't fit for requirements for this league. Like, Pete can scheme up whatever he wants. They can sit back and zone, but they still are a dead team walking when they can't get pressure. And it's a lot of pressure on this front four. Give me the Bears to win in the cover. I think they're the better team, and I think they're the better coach team as well. Next game, we got the Baltimore Ravens at the Kansas City Chiefs. Ravens -2.5. I want to do this, but I'll settle for the Rams. I'll settle for the Rams as digging a trench. And sometimes with NFL, and I don't want to go off on a rant, but sometimes with NFL, you just have to make a stand and you have to trust your instincts. And you can't react to the 24/7 media circus. And you can't react to bad beats, although it's tough, especially in my case now. But, like, I remember when I was in that room, you remember the dresser, and you remember those videos when the channel started getting big. I just really didn't give a fuck about anything. Like, and you have to approach this with, you have nothing to lose. And for me, man, I have nothing to lose here. Give me the Ravens to win in the cover. And you're looking at this Ravens team and you're probably asking yourself, like, firstly, like, what is John Harbaugh doing? Where does the blame come in from him in this? Like, we saw the Bills meltdown. We saw the meltdown against the Lions. Credit to the Lions. The Lions are a great outfit. Bills are a great team. Like, we know that. There's no shame in losing to either of those teams. But the manner in which they melted down both games was borderline shameful. And you saw on Derrick Henry's face last night. And I got to be honest, like, I woke up in the morning today and I fucking felt terrible about it. And that's life. Like, sometimes you strike out. And I'm just looking at this matchup, and is someone going to tell me the Chiefs are the better football team? Is someone going to tell me that this Chiefs offense can make the Ravens look silly like the Bills did, like the Lions did? I don't think so. And you worry about Van Noy. You worry about the other defensive tackle for the Ravens. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name. I'm 30 minutes in the video. Metabuki. Like, you worry about that. But at the end of the day, I just think the Ravens are a better squad. I'm going better your power rankings. I have the Ravens number 1 going into the year in terms of betting power rankings, and I have the Chiefs 5 or 6. I'm staying strong. I'm staying firm, and the Chiefs beating the Giants doesn't really do much to quell my issues about them. Travis Kelce looks like he can't play anymore. And when you have players like Rashee Rice missing, when you have players like Xavier Worthy missing, it just adds a lot of pressure on Mahomes. And Mahomes is playing his best football. I'm sick of people who are saying he's not. He's looked phenomenal this year so far. But there's only so much he can do. And I'll also go to the other side of the ball. I'm just not so sure about this Chiefs defense. I said going into the year, this is the worst I felt about a Chiefs defense going into the year. No science, Ravens winning the cover. As crazy as it sounds, I feel really good about it. Next game, we got the Green Bay Packers at the Dallas Cowboys. Packers -7. Packers win and cover. You don't want to bet this one, right? Do you want to try to tease the Packers again? I don't know if I want to sign up for that. I also don't know if I want to sign up to take Dallas +7 with the way this defense is playing. I mean, their defensive line's terrible. We can talk about the secondary all day, but they can't get pressure. And I'm not sure they're going to be able to stop the Packers' run. Now, I know the Packers haven't ran the ball well with Josh Jacobs the first 3 matchups, but I think that's going to change. And if the Packers get their run game going, I just think the Packers will run a train on them. And without CD Lamb, like, a big part of last week why the Cowboys were an intriguing outfit is because when you have 2 dominant receivers like Pickens and CD Lamb, it means something. It covers up holes in this new age NFL. I mean, once CD Lamb limped off the field, you just saw the Cowboys just didn't have a lot of fight left. And you understand it. And one thing that's shocking about the Cowboys this year that I'm surprised about is they're running the ball pretty damn good. But I just don't think their young offensive line is going to be capable of dealing with this Green Bay tsunami that's going to come. And Micah Parsons coming to just completely just nail Dak to the ground. Packers winning the cover. I think I went fundamentals and said Cowboys cover. I'll make it clear. Packers winning the cover. You don't want to lay this 7, but it is what it is. Next game, Monday night, we got two. We got the New York Jets at the Miami Dolphins. Fins -2.5. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I promise. Fins winning the cover. I mean, they have the longer rest. And I got to tell you guys, like, I'm just really disappointed with Aaron Glenn and this defense. And before we get to, like, the Jets offense and all the problems that the Miami Dolphins have, I just need to say, like, biggest Aaron Glenn fan there is, but this defense has been trash, and they've been poorly coached as well. And, you know, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line came into that game just completely fucked, like 3 or 4 starters out. And what did that lead to? I mean, it was just the Buccaneers taking their foot off the gas. And I just think Miami does better offensively. I think they get better quarterback play. And if you ask me, if you ask me, Tyrod Taylor or Justin Fields, of course I'd prefer Justin Fields in the game for the run option. But either way, the Jets are going to move the ball on Miami's defense. I just think the Dolphins will be able to do quite a bit with the Jets, and the Jets aren't getting pressure on the quarterback. And that's the one thing you need to do against Tua. I mean, you hit him once. Pretty much the Dolphins' offense is designed. It's designed so Tua doesn't take hits. And if you can't hit him or put fear of hitting him, the Dolphins will move the ball. Give me the Dolphins winning the cover -2.5. Next game, we got the Cincinnati Bengals at the Denver Broncos. Bengals +7. Broncos winning the cover. And listen, I was really confident in the Vikings -3 last week. I didn't make it a money pick, and you guys saw in the video, it's just I didn't want to go 2D-gen too early. And I didn't know we would be getting week 14 injury reports in week 3. Like, I was shocked by the injury reports in week 3. Like, after the video, like, there was like 10 injuries to starters in important positions just thrown at me. But with that being said, I just don't think this Bengals offensive line is good enough. We can talk about how bad the Bengals defense is, and it's bad. And even with Trey Hendrickson on that defensive line, they don't really get a lot of pressure. And the Broncos played pretty damn well against the Chargers, but they missed 4 or 5 clear, open, deep passes that would have iced the game against the Chargers. And I don't think that's going to happen again. And if there's a team to work on your deep balls with, it's the Bengals secondary, and it's this Bengals defensive line that's not going to get pressure on you. And, you know, you talk about a bounce-back performance for a defensive line that has been getting shredded on the ground. You know, the Bengals are a good start, and I just think this Broncos defensive line raises havoc, and they completely control this game like Van Ginkel and Greenyard and Brian Flores did in the Vikings-Bengals game. Give me the Broncos winning the cover with the -7. The only caution here is the backdoor cover and a blocked field goal. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you share the videos. The best gambling show on the internet. Let's get this money. Glad to see you guys. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the loyalty. Let's get this money.